Hello, I am Jerry Roxbury. I'm an amateur historian, collector of Civil War artifacts, naval artifacts, and in particular, Confederate naval artifacts. What I want to discuss with you today is my collection of Confederate naval cutlasses, knives, and officer sword. The Confederacy had no central manufacturing infrastructure in place. Therefore, they had to rely on these small manufactories that propped up in these riverfront towns and the locations that were building ironclads, converting steamers into gunboats. So they had to rely on craftsmen such as blacksmiths or people that had some kind of a technical background, had machinery and access to raw materials. We see almost a regional development of these cutlasses because they took some license in what they were to look like and how they designed them, and it was all based on what materials were available at the time. But for the most part, the Confederacy patterned their cutlasses after the old obsolete U.S. cutlass model of 1841, which had a solid brass guard and could be readily duplicated by sandcaster. So we have regions such as Richmond, Virginia, that has their own unique cutlasses. These are readily identifiable because on the pommel and on the guard are the initials CSN for Confederate States Navy. In North Carolina, Lewis Froelich of the Confederate States Armory produced cutlasses through the war years, and they are traditional D-guard cutlasses that resemble the weapons used by the artillery and the infantrymen, or those famous Confederate side knives that we know about. Columbus, Georgia was a large manufacturing center. There was a naval yard there. Actually, the CSS Chattahoochee was built not far down the river from there. And they have a unique style cutlass that incorporates a wooden grip, a wooden turn grip, and a exaggerated wasp-waisted blade that reduced some of the material that was required for manufacturing and also balanced out the blade. Another product of what we believe to be from Columbus, Georgia, again incorporating a wooden handle. The centerpiece is the regulation Confederate naval officer sword. These are a very handsome weapon. They were actually made in England and came in through the blockade runners into Charleston, or the officer could have purchased the sword in England if the ship made a port call there, which many did. These two pieces here represent knives that would have been utilized in boarding engagements, and in fact there are many documents that refer to the boarding knife in the Confederate States Navy. Moving on, we have the cutlasses that were imported from England, again by that company in Charleston, South Carolina, Courtney and Tennant, again made in England specifically for use by the Confederate Navy. A piece from Macon, Georgia, Selma, Alabama. These were made by Leach and Rigdon, initially started off in Memphis, Tennessee, at one point wound up in and around Selma, Alabama. But remnants of these cutlasses had been found in the Alabama River, right off where the Selma Iron Works was located. And then finally, New Orleans had many manufacturers there, from Thomas and Griswold, Cook and Brother, Arguello de Filo. There was a large manufacturing center, probably the most industrialized of any of the southern cities. So we see a large group of cutlasses originating from that city. The Confederates, for what they had to work with at the beginning of the war, actually produced quite a few sidearms, cutlasses, knives, swords to outfit their navy. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to go up against the Federal Navy, who eventually overcame and, through attrition, won the war. Thank you very much.